Alrighty, welcome back to the uh, FTF Azvaldt long-term tournament. We are entering the playoff stage, so we have some deck list registrations here, and this round we're gonna see. We can check the bracket real quick. Sai against Melty is the upper bracket, so this is match 3. And they have brought Sai Sephi Rune and Loot Sword. And for Sai and Melty has chosen Last Word Shadow without any copies of Azvaldt, and Discard Dragon with the addition of Hot-Headed Marauder for extra ramp. So it's a little unorthodox deck list, but they can certainly work. So getting right in the action, we're gonna have Sephi Rune against Discard Dragon. Matchup is interesting. I think the thing that Discord has to look out for is whether or not the Sephi player can play the control plan in the matchup, and I guess there's only like 1 or 2 turns where Discard can make multiple wards. I think this matchup is pretty hard for Discard to win unless they find some OTKs or force a Uranus plan, because none of the boards that Discard could make really stick through what the Sephi player's board clears. So they have to make, and if Sai saves enough obsessive, no, it's the gold card. What's her name? It is obsessive. There's devoted and obsessive. The obsessive scholars with 5 attack test subjects can result in a lot of healing, as well as a bad Catha token. So we're gonna see the turn 1. But Melty chose not to discard Dragon Newt's Might with that turn 1. Augite Worm, that is already pretty interesting. In that situation, because you're using an early Augite, it's really rough to not discard Dragon Newt's Might because your hand size gets so small, and you're kind of digging for ramp. So usually you do that. Okay. Draws another Dragon Oracle here, but he's looking for a discard. Discards Noir and Blanc. I don't know if I like this, because, like, yes, he gets a lot of ramp, but this Noir and Blanc will be picked off eventually, and that is losing a Noir and Blanc. That's a really high-value card. Sai now plays out an Obsessive Scholar. I mentioned that she was really useful in the later phases of the game, but with 1 fewer Noir and Blanc, I mean, he draws into another Obsessive Scholar as well, so that's pretty good. And yeah, Melty is going to play the enhanced Warden of the Animate Claw here, draws 3 cards. This sets up really well. Has the Hot-Headed Marauder next turn to pair with that curve, and as well as a Lumior, but an Argente, and draws 2 copies of Lumior. Might go like Argente, discarding Lumior and a random card, and play the Hot-Headed Marauder. That would still not be 4 discards for the Lumior, but it would be a pretty good curve. Sai playing the enhanced Devoted Researcher here, which is going to make 2 test subjects. That's going to give him a lot of card draw. And then evolving the Devoted Researcher. So he has not found Metatron, which is a bit unfortunate. I think maybe it would be better if he had traded in the first test subject to try to find Metatron, but Sai has just chose not to do that altogether, because this way he gets some face damage. Not sure if the face damage is really that important. Definitely good to get Metatron. He's going to fuse. What is he going to fuse into this Obsessive Scholar? Probably the Sacred Bird, or because Gilnelise is pretty nice for the healing, and then trading into a Noir and Blanc. Most likely the Sacred Bird, I think. He has fused the Babkatha. I don't know. That could be pretty costly. Babkatha is a lot of card draw later on in the game. And also a good amount of healing. So if Sai finds that Sephi, who can shrink his hand size a bit, he's gonna kind of feel missing out the bad Katha there. So Argento drawn for Melty, gonna choose to discard a Lumior, and I think the Dragon Utes might. Oh, it's a discard, so I know he's gonna be pretty careful about that, but still, there's a lot of card draw, and and he has the Hot-Headed Marauder, so he's gonna be able to ramp to 9 this turn with that. Okay, but he has to play the Hot-Headed Marauder, otherwise it doesn't do anything next turn. Because she only does something if you play Condemned cards the previous turn. So play the Hot-Headed Marauder here. He's going to be able to ramp to 10, and the next turn he'll be able to go Nomadic Conductor into Lumior, which Nomadic Conductor would get the 4th discard. He could go Nomadic Conductor Warden, but that's definitely just worse than the Hot-Headed Marauder. There we go. So that's going to be 10 play point ramp. Could use the Warden of the Animate Claw here to clear. Okay. Gonna instead evolve the Argente. There's also a case for not using Evo Point here because Captain Dragewood demands an Evo Point be used on him. So it would make his next turn, Melty's next turn stronger to save that Evo Point. And there's Metatron, of course, 1 turn late, but in this case, of course, she was like 3 cards down later in the deck, so there was really no way for Sai to find her for turn 4. So what is Sai going to do here? Would like to find Sephi for the turn, so I think he should lead off with Freya. Freya is, of course, going to cost 1 because of the Evo Point situation. Effectively cost 1. And then if that finds a Sephi, then he's in a good spot, and she's very likely to find Sephi because Sai has drawn 2 test subjects, 2 researchers, and 2 obsessive scholars. So that means that when the 3 Sephis left in the deck, that's like a 50-50 chance to find Sephi. Sai instead opts to play the devoted researcher, but this is going to flood his hand. It is the highest tempo play, of course, and he can choose to fuse a bunch of his followers into this scholar, but he could have played Freya into this with no tempo loss as well. So I have to think that it was better just to play the Freya to try to find a Sephi for the turn. Now he's forced to fuse like 2 followers for hand size. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really like that. And so very straightforward turn here from Melty. Just gonna discard probably I was gonna say the Sea Loam, but discarding other the Hot-Headed Marauder makes a lot more sense. Yeah, that is the 4th discard for Lumior. He's gonna pitch a Noir Blanc, of course. Probably. Oh, he's pitching Warden. That makes plenty of sense. And now draws into the last Noir Blanc, so he can evolve the Nomadic Conductor here in order to. Yeah, but see, that's his last Evo Point, so that's why it's a little stinky. That's the Evo Point that you would wonder for Dragewood, and that's why I really wanted Melty to save that Evo Point. But yeah, could also have played the Dragon Oracle to try to find a discard outlet that is not the Evolve, but that would have just drawn the Uranus here, so should still play the Dragon Oracle to dig. I don't like this Uranus play. He doesn't need the healing, he doesn't need the extra body, really, and it really cuts into his damage potential. So I would just like to see the Sea Loam played, honestly. But Sai does have to face a double Noir and Blanc board, so it is pretty tough for Sai out here. And this is one reason I wanted to play the Freya last turn, just because I think Freya is better than a random card from his deck. And specifically if he finds Sephi. So should still play Freya here to try to find a Sephi. Sephi is just a more efficient way to use some of the play points in his hand. And go Freya into Olivia and Sylvia. But it's tough. This is definitely really tough because it is. He did not ramp. He has no Sephi in hand. But definitely Freya allows for some possibilities here. Plays the test subject. That's a 5/5. Trades. Finds another Freya. These Freyas are just like yelling at him to use them, but it's yeah. Now he plays a Freya. I'm gonna draw the Sephi, but it's not enough play points now. Yeah. This is basic. Fuses the Obsessive Researcher. That is not going to be enough, and I don't think he's not going to have enough time to make this play. But even if he did, it wouldn't be good enough because he's just facing too much of a board. I think this was a bad situation for Sai to be in, but he definitely had to use the Freyas as early as he could to try to find. Basically, had to play everything he could to try to find his Sephi before because Sephi is just so much more efficient at creating test subjects than every other card in the deck. So that we're going to be on to game 2. And it is going to be Sephi against Last Words as a full toss here from Sai. But he's going first with the Metatron, which is honestly still pretty strong for a tempo play. This is, and she's going to be also fused into the Obsessive Scholar. Uranus is a really nice pickup for this matchup. Can deny any random Last Words card. Turn 1 Chaotic Doom from Melty. But rolls the card draw. Wow, okay. That's really that's really interesting. I think it's rare to use Chaotic Doom before most of the effects are live, so most people tend to use one after using an Evo point. But yeah, I mean that hand was really low on resources until he hit the card draw. He does have the I just call it the Fox's spell, but is Hellish Banquet, which is a really strong card. Those 1/3s make it really annoying to trade out the test subject, which is don't trade the test subject here. This is wrong. Because the reason it's wrong is just that because what Sai would want to do is trade that test subject in to draw into more cards, and those 1/3s slow that down. There's even a case to not trade anything with those 1/3s just because they take up board spaces. I mean, you could trade the 1/1 because that's going to be traded anyway. So I would have liked to see Melty just sit on the 1/3s and not do anything with them, just because it's going to slow the side down. Yeah, Underworld Lieutenant, similar principle, right? It's going to make these 1/4s that are really annoying for the test subjects to trade into. And I mean, now he should get rid of the 0/1 because that can give a test subject Bane. And yeah, now going face is correct, but I think Melty definitely gave up a lot of tempo by not playing that by making the trade. I mean, it's tempting to get rid of the strongest follower on your opponent's side of the board, but 1/3 is a very annoying stat line to deal with. So okay, so now it is Sai's turn. He has the Sephi in hand, has the Uranus. Melty has Chaotic Doom on 1, Doggo on 2, and let's see, Foxes on 3. So 1, 1, 2, 3. That represents 7 Last Words for Melty, so he can get to the 10 count next turn. If this board is cleared. This board is not easy to clear, though, because of the 1/4 stat line, as I mentioned. Obsessive Researcher can clear out. Is it Obsessive Scholar? It's Obsessive Scholar. I keep mixing up their names. I mean, it's literally synonymous stuff. Obsessive Scholar. Yeah, so this board space is really annoying for Sai here, right? It looks like he's not going to play the Obsessive Scholar. Going to play a Uranus instead for a banner, so that puts Melty down to 6 Last Words when this board gets cleared. And yeah, so now, okay, gonna clear the Star Toy Soldiers. And then evolve the Freya in place because he has Olivia and Sylvia in hand. But I mean, even if Sai didn't have the Olivia and Sylvia in hand, he still does this play because you just need to get that used up. And now Melty is going to be able to hit 10 last words, provided no Uranus happens, because he's going to play Hugin and Moonin, and then he has multiple one play point last word cards in hand. I don't like using Chaotic Doom here. I think you should be using Mino. Just Mino and Thunder God of the Tempest is really good. Because there is a case where Melty ends up playing 6-cost Chaotic Doom next turn. The Loyal Ghost Pup is also strong, but definitely want to use Thunder God whenever you can. Ooh. Chaotic Doom, I mean, okay, but certainly we play Thunder God now because of the card draw. Yeah, okay. And then just go face. Just go face. There we go. Yeah. Make Melty deal with this. I mean, not make Sai deal with this, rather. I mean, Sai can deal with it, of course. The Obsessive Scholar represents 5 healing at this point. Oh, it's not. No, okay. Hold on. Sai needs to make a 5. It needs to make a 5 attack test subject, and also needs to clear out board spaces. So he should trade in the newly made test subject and then fuse the... You could also use Uranus to banish this Underworld Lieutenant. That would also represent saving some HP. What's the best thing? So it could be... healing for only 2 is kind of scuffed. Yeah, but could... So he says to decide between healing and... Yeah, he is going to go for the 5 points of healing here, but that does mean he can't use Uranus to banish. But it is definitely past the point of being able to deny 10 last words here. And that healing is, of course, one of the strengths of the Sephi deck. When you have something to trade into, you have many sources of drain. Using up the Evo points gets Olivia and Sylvia ready, and now there's going to be a lot of damage, but no Extendet in hand here for Melty. And, I mean, I think that's what he was drawing for with the Chaotic Doom, but, I mean, it would just not be a bad turn to play a 6 play point Chaotic Doom here. It's a very tough thing to answer. Can punish the Olivia and Sylvia play pretty hard with the right rolls, but it looks like this is going to be Mino into Corral Souls. Yeah, Mino into Deathcat Reaper into Corral Souls also makes a lot of sense. Definitely Sai not in a lot of danger here. Not Sai, I keep saying Sai. I mean, Sai is also not in a lot of danger just yet. Melty is also not in that much danger at the moment because there is only one Sephi. If Sai does get that second Sephi, though, Melty could just get lethal from 12, which is a little scary. So he might be forced to use the Cerberus here if he's worried about that. But I feel like he's better off trying to draw into something. Yeah, because he needs to use the Corral Souls for card draw eventually anyway. And here, paradoxically, I think it's... I'm trying to think if it's better. No, because Sai does not have that many play points, it is better to trade here. Melty is worried about the second Sephi, but there is no second Sephi yet, so... Yeah, and I think part of the problem for Melty here is that he has not drawn his Fallen Sergeant, which means he did not start searching his deck for the rest of his Condemned cards, so he just has a Colonel in hand with no Extendet. This means that Sai can just set up this turn pretty comfortably. Let's see, I don't like fusing a Condemned card here for Sai, because... Whoa. This is a crazy fuse. I think Sai here just confused the Yukishima. Wait, why did we fuse so many cards? He wants to draw with... You don't know. This is really unnecessary. Well, let's do the math. Yeah, there's like no situation where that's necessary, even with a Krampus, because well, with a Krampus, Melty would have 15 damage, I think. Yeah. Then Melty did not play Spirit Invasion, so but there was a Ghost, but the Ghost never hits face with an extended play. Yeah. So using the Marigna's Gospel there is a bit of an overreach and makes Sai a little harder, makes his lethal a little harder to obtain, but it is kind of not going to matter here because Sai still has a nice test subject into Sephi, fuse into Sephi line, so that's 15 damage, and Melty can only heal to Melty? Well, he can heal to 16. Deathcat Reaper into Cerberus. So if Melty heals to 16, but Sai still has the Evo point, so that is going to be game. Melty is just trying to make the most of the bad situation here, not having drawn none of his Estendets, but... Ooh, Hugin Immunid, so not going for maximum healing. I mean, healing to 16 is what requires Sai to have the test subject or a second Sephi, but yeah, this gives Sai a lot more lethals now, and yeah, so Sai rips the second Sephi for the turn anyway, so that is just going to be game. Yeah. Sephi fuse number 1. Could fuse another Sephi here, or play the test subject, now play Sephi, and that is 17 points of damage. So yeah, I suppose the healing would not have mattered. The Kernel also wouldn't really matter here because Sephi could evolve with enough healing and a Kernel. It could matter. So yeah, definitely rough for Melty there, not seeing a single Extendet in the 7 turns of the game. Both players being scared over that situation. Alrighty, so now we're on to the last game here, game 3. Going to be the Loot Sword from Sai against Melty's Last Words. And this matchup is pretty even, but I think Melty's list does actually have some weaknesses here. Mostly in that he is playing Fallen Sergeant instead of Azvaldt, which means he can be subject to getting his last words stolen or removed, which is definitely not a good spot for him. Sai going to keep the Illustrious Thief, which is a reasonable 2-drop, and gets Metatron, which is one of the best tempo plays in this matchup. Turn 1 Deep Sea Scout here. Turn 1 Deep Sea Scout is interesting. I mean, there's technically can be removed by this Chaotic Doom, but it does pressure it out. Gonna get the Evo point, so that is a punish. But yeah, I mean, gonna be the Metatron follow-up, but I think like even if like Turn 1 Deep Sea Scout it does have like a bit of a time limit on use because if Melty had the Loyal Ghost Pup into Deathcat Reaper, that still removes the Deep Sea Scout in time. Gonna draw immediately here. I'm not sure what Sai is drawing for, but yeah, I mean, you should cash in the card draw when he can. Illustrious Thief does make sense for the turn. That is going to delay the plays here from Melty and gonna make it easier to go face, yeah. And then basically going to get Melty to, but because Melty has Hellish Banquet, that card is really nice in this matchup. That's gonna be able to trade out this Metatron and put up some wards. So yeah, that is gonna kind of reverse the board swing a little bit here. Second Deep Sea Scout for Sai. I don't think he should be playing her out here. I do think that Chivalrous Bandit would be the play. Even using both of them here would be a good idea. But it looks like what he's going to do is use this Goblet. But... because second Deep Sea Scout draws 1 card, but that is a lot of your late game damage if you use a Deep Sea Scout up here. So could be playing 2 loots here. but I really like cashing in Bandit as soon as possible in this matchup. Um, the last consideration here is that you want to save a loot in hand for yeah, it's important to save a loot in hand for Maximus because you can draw first mate plus their pirates, and then right. So this is a reasonable line. It's reducing card draw, but because Sai already has another Deep Sea Scout in hand and General Maximus in hand, he can definitely choose this line. Another Sergeant Brawn here for Melty. This is likely an Instendet plus Sergeant turn, which is going to be a full clear, and can make a pretty tall board. Since since Melty doesn't have a lot of ways to pop his own followers and is not playing Azvaldt, he kind of has to play into any possible Lupins. Which I should check how many there are. There's 3 Lupins here. So Sai Melty going to use the Deathcat Reaper here to pop his own Fallen Sergeant to guarantee the draw, and like that's okay, but it is a bit of a slower line. Adherent drawn for Sai, but it is going to be Maximus this turn, and definitely I think he definitely wants to hit a Lupin. Octress also a good hit. Going to hit none of those, but does hit the first mate with Adherent, which is pretty good because that's going to let him discount a loot here and then play that loot and then evolve the Adherent with that loot play. And then Adherent also generates a piece of loot. It is a bit unfortunate that this is inefficient, I think. Oh, okay, so Sai is going to use the Goblet on the first mate. Oh, actually, I'd still probably Goblet my own face here because I don't think it's too hard to get rid of the first mate on board. But every point of chip damage that the Shadow deck can get on you doesn't matter. If you get to 18, they don't have to save an Evo point for their OTK setup, etc. So now it's back to Melty's turn. How does he do this? Let's see. Hugin and Munin is active. Hugin and Munin and Estindet, I believe, is a board clear aside from the Illustrious Thief. Well, not quite a full board clear, but he can clear out the first mate and the Adherent. And Maximus and leave the Loot Pirate, yeah. So I think that's going to be the play. And ideally he clears off his own entire board here. But I think he's going to try to use the Fallen Sergeant again. No Colonels for Melty is going to be rough. Oh, draws a Mino. Mino is really strong here. But doesn't quite have the play points to use her. Can Melty get away with Mino here? He's going to try. So Mino into the Adherent. We're going to get rid of that extra loot generation for Sai and then play the Thunder God. Really wanting to draw into a Colonel. Now it is Sai's turn, of course. I think for Sai here, I would start off playing Adherent is pretty good, and then he can evolve. I would actually evolve the Thief, but I would pitch Gilnalise here. It looks like that's what he's doing. Gilnalise is going to be the hardest card to use. It draws 2 Lupins, which now that he has no Evo points is a bit awkward, and I think Sai does have to play the Deep Sea Scout here to draw into something. He has plenty of healing in his hand, but the problem with playing Deep Sea Scout here is... Oh, okay, so what I think Sai should do is trade in the 2-1 and then play the Deep Sea Scout. Or he can trade in his hand. He does have to make sure he's not board locked here because that could be a bit of a dangerous situation to be in. Okay, so he's going to draw with the Deep Sea Scout, evolve the Adherent, draws an Opulent, that's really good. Rush the Deep Sea Scout, yeah. Draws a Tidal Gunner, so what Sai should do here is try to get to 7 loots, save the Goblet in hand, and then try to find a way to win the game with Tidal Gunner the next turn. Um, heals his own face here. That's good. Okay, trades off the... Keeps the Deep Sea Scout in play. That's okay, I guess. I'd be on the lookout for board locks here. Deep Sea Scout can trade herself off into most targets. And there's a Colonel and a Stindet in hand here for Melty, so he can definitely do something. Colonel... It's probably going to be Colonel, Stindet, and Fallen Sergeant here. And at this point, you should be keeping extra bodies out as the Last Word Shadow deck, just because it makes it harder to get lethal with. Okay, but instead, Melty is going to choose to get the cards, and I'm going to put Sign to Overdraw. This Colonel effect can be yoinked by Octress, so that is definitely something annoying to deal with. And really the biggest problem for Melty here is just that he has like no cards in hand. So maybe guaranteeing the Colonel pop is fine. Not the Colonel, the Sergeant pop. What is he going to do here? He being Melty. Sai has a pretty straightforward clear. He can just go ahead and he has an Octress and a Ultimate Hollow in hand. Ooh, and evolves the Ascendant for more bodies on the board. That's okay. I mean, that's not really a difficult thing for Sword to deal with at this point. What's the overdraws a Metatron? That card is really strong in this spot, so maybe not necessarily this turn. So I would, for side here, I would start off with the Octress, and then you go Octress Opulent, Ultimate Hollow. It's a little awkward. But with the necklace is huge though. Now Sai can just play the necklace on Octress. Gonna play a Lupin. I don't know if that's necessary. Okay, so that is going to allow him... Okay, so he wanted to do that to get the Colonel down to 4 health, but... Strange. Okay. Now gonna play the Ultimate Hollow to heal. Probably wants to fuse... Yeah, I might have fused first, but that's fine. Fusing a Boots is good. He needs to draw into some more damage. He fuses... Yeah, fuses the Boots. Draws another Maximus. So that's a little bit awkward. And now I'd like to point out also that Sai has no Kagemitsu in his deck. So, Sai has the Cerberus. So Cerberus is going to be 5 damage with a Tyrant spell. That is going to be 15 damage available here for Melty. I swear I'm like word salading their names back and forth now. I apologize. So 15 damage in hand here for Melty with no pop, though. That means there is no immediate lethal. So one line that might make sense here for Melty is to go Underworld Lieutenant. But actually, yeah, because the problem with playing Gensetsu here is that you end up using your shadows. So you can't really afford to do that, I think. So Underworld Lieutenant plus Hugin and Munin is the line that comes to mind for me here. But Melty is looking at the Cerberus. But I think it's too early for Cerberus. Underworld Lieutenant Hugin Munin lets him draw into the Estendet, which would let him lethal with Cerberus the next turn. And assuming, yeah, it's also putting a lot of damage, so it should be Lieutenant and Hugin Munin. I mean, if he's worried about getting lethaled out, he plays the Gensetsu, but this basically means he has no lethal next turn because he's using up so many shadows. Gensetsu burns like 9 shadows and she only generates 4. With only 1 flag generator in hand, does Sai have lethal here? Let's see. Petal Gutter, Flag, Ultimate Hollow, gets rid of 2 foxes, does 5 damage, and then Remnant still has to go face. We can build Gilded Boots down another Fox. So that leaves 6 health on Melty's side of the board. So Kyle Gunner, 2, 3, 4. I don't think there's enough play points for the lethal here. Title Gunner, Opulent Maneuver. Ooh, Title Gunner, Opulent Maneuver is 3 play points left. Then Flag. Flag is going to put Melty down to 8, but there's not enough play points to play the Remnant, I think, after that. Okay, gonna steal the Evo point here. So with healing to 20, that prevents the Tyrant OT, the Abyssal Colonel OTK. Oh. Yeah. Basically, yeah, I'm just recalculating for Melty's last turn. He just had 1 pop away from lethal, and Sai going to choose not to get healing here off the Opulent, which is I don't know if I like that, to be quite honest. But he did steal the Evo point, but that means he's going to get lethaled out here. He is punished by this Corral Souls top deck. Oh, no, he can't be. There's not enough shadows. Oh, no, wait, he cannot be lethal here because there are not enough shadows for Melty. Melty has to pop one of these Kerberos tokens with the Corral Souls and hope he finds an Estendet, and he does. Wait a minute. So, what's the play here? He has to trade 1 Ghost in, and then trade 1 Ghost in, hit face with everything else, play Colonel and Estendet. Wait, no, don't trade the Doggo in. What? We could have gone face with the Doggo. That's just less damage. Yeah, Colonel and Estendet now, of course. But we just lost 1 damage there. I guess we can see if that damage is probably not going to matter. Okay, the Gilnalease drawn, that is a lot of healing, but ooh, this is always annoying to deal with, the situation, because the Colonel can, so there's 2 flags here for, okay, actually, can side play around the Colonel? So Title Gunner, because the play is like Title Gunner into dump some play points into No Storm Barbaros. No, okay. No, that's not necessary. So Sai is just gonna, yeah, that lethal is really hard to get even if you have enough flags, just because the Colonel RNG is super annoying. Sai instead going to trade the Gilnalease out use the Gilnalease to heal, but that is not enough healing in this situation because there is so much damage next turn. Counting his damage with Title Gunner and Barbaros, that's not going to be enough without an Evo point. Plays the Storm Barbaros anyway? Wait, there's no way. There's no way that's enough damage. Is there? Oh, wait, it is. Never mind. It is exactly enough damage. Okay. That's kind of crazy, but it was, yeah, Melty was so low that that makes it through. That's so, yeah, that's crazy. And I think that Gensetsu just got punished really hard by Melty missing the lethal. I mean, he had in turn 9 lethal, but the Gensetsu using up so many shadows. I think Underworld Lieutenant and Hugin and Munin was a bit riskier, but that would have allowed Melty to win on the immediate next turn there. So, yeah, and that Sai is going to take that 2-1, finding the lethal there at the end. And yeah, so congrats to Sai for winning the upper bracket match here. And I'm going to send Melty to the lower bracket to face the winner of some other matches. Let's see. Face the winner of the lower bracket match resolutions. So yeah, congrats to Sai for taking this one, and I guess we'll see what goes on down later in this tournament.